You know that feeling when you're trying to save money from your part-time job, and after 3 months, you've got maybe $400 in your account? Then your car needs new tires, or your phone screen cracks, and suddenly you're back to $50? It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. But here's something that'll blow your mind. That first $1,000 you save is genuinely harder than your first $100,000. And no, I'm not talking about some trust fund situation. I'm talking about basic math that most people never learn. Once you understand why this happens, everything about money starts making sense. Right now, if you're working part-time, making $500 a month, saving even $100 feels impossible. According to a 2025 Bank of America study, 55% of people your age don't have enough saved to cover 3 months of expenses. But here's what nobody tells you. Your brain operates in two completely different modes depending on whether you have money saved or not. When your bank account is hovering near zero, you're stuck in survival mode. Every dollar that comes in triggers this stress response where you're just trying to make it to next week. The wild part is that this completely flips once you cross certain thresholds. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner who helped build one of the most successful investment companies in history, once said the first $100,000 is the hardest milestone to hit. After that, the money starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Let's look at Sarah. She's 17, works at Target, making about $600 a month after taxes. She decides to save $100 every single month. Month 1, she saves $100. Month 2, she's at $200. By month 10, she's hit $1,000. Took her almost a year to get there. She's being disciplined, saying no to things her friends are doing, and that $1,000 just sits there earning maybe 4% annually. That's like $40 a year. Not exactly life-changing. Now here's where it gets interesting. Let's say Sarah keeps this up, putting that money into something that earns around 7% annually, which is roughly what the stock market averages. To save her first $1,000, it takes her 10 months of pure discipline. Every single dollar comes from her paycheck. But when she's trying to go from $99,000 to $100,000, that last $1,000 takes less than 2 months. And by that point, about $7,000 of that $100,000 came from her investments, just doing their thing while she slept, worked, went to school, hung out with friends. The psychological shift is huge. At $1,000, she's thinking, I saved for a year and I've barely got anything. At $100,000, she's watching her account grow by thousands without lifting a finger. Same person, same work ethic, completely different experience. Here's the actual math. If you're saving $10,000 a year and earning 7% returns, getting to your first $100,000 takes 7.84 years. But that second $100,000? Only 5.1 years. That's 35% faster, even though you're doing the exact same thing. The third $100,000 takes 3.78 years. The fourth takes 3.01 years. By the fifth $100,000, it only takes 2.5 years. Why does this happen? Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, you're pushing a tiny ball through flat snow. It's exhausting, it barely grows, you're doing all the work. But once it gets big enough, gravity takes over. It starts picking up snow automatically, getting bigger and faster. Your first $1,000 is you pushing that tiny snowball. You're responsible for 100% of the growth. But by the time you hit $50,000, your money is doing real work. At 7% returns, that's $3,500 a year just from your investments. If you're saving $100 a month, that's $1,200 from your work plus $3,500 from your money working. Your money is contributing almost 3 times what you are. Here's the trap most people fall into. They save that first $1,000 or $2,000, feel good about it, then blow it on something. Meet Jake. He's 18, saved $2,500 over 2 years from his Chipotle job. Then he sees his friends posting from a beach trip and decides he deserves a vacation too. Drops $1,800 on a week in Florida. Had a great time, but now he's back to $700 and has to restart the entire process. Meanwhile, his friend Marcus, also 18, has that same $2,500 but keeps it invested. 2 years later, Jake is back at $2,500 after grinding again. Marcus? He's at $4,200 without adding a single extra dollar. This is what wealthy people understand. That early money is the most valuable money you'll ever save. Every $1,000 you save at 17 and invest will be worth over $21,000 by the time you're 50, assuming 7% returns. The same $1,000 saved at 30? Only worth about $7,600 by 50. Same money, same returns. But 13 years of compound growth makes a $13,000 difference. But here's the really important part. Getting to that first $1,000 teaches you something more valuable than the money itself. It proves to yourself that you can control your money instead of letting it control you. You start seeing yourself differently. You're not just working for a paycheck anymore, you're building something. The hard part is that first year feels brutal. You're making sacrifices, skipping the DoorDash order, saying no to spontaneous shopping trips, and your bank account is growing so slowly it's almost depressing. But that's the test. Most people quit here. They convince themselves it's not worth it, that they'll start when they're making more money. But here's what the data shows. If you wait until you're making more money, you just spend more money. It's called lifestyle inflation. You get a raise from $15 to $18 an hour, and suddenly you need a better apartment, a nicer car, more subscriptions. The amount you save stays the same, or even goes down because your expenses grew with your income. The secret is locking in that saving habit now, while you're young and your expenses are relatively low, even if it's just $50 a month. Because once you cross that first threshold, somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000, your brain shifts out of survival mode. You stop making decisions based purely on, can I afford this? And start thinking, is this worth delaying my financial freedom? And that shift changes everything. That $3,000 might only cover 2 months of expenses, but it's 2 months of freedom to find something better instead of taking the first thing that comes along. So, what can you actually do with this information? 3 things you can start this week. First, open a high yield savings account if you're 18, or get your parents to help you set one up if you're younger. Ally, Marcus, and Capital One all have accounts earning around 4% right now. Takes about 20 minutes online. This is where your first $1,000 lives while you're building it. Second, pick one number and automate it. Doesn't matter if it's $25, $50, or $100. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking to savings on payday. The key word is automatic. You can't spend what you never see. Your brain will adapt to living on what's left over. Third, track where every dollar goes for 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. Use your phone's notes app, a spreadsheet, whatever. You'll be shocked at where money disappears. That $8 lunch, $15 Uber ride, $12 coffee shop visit, they add up to hundreds a month. Once you see it, you can decide consciously what's worth it and what's just habit. So remember, that first $1,000 feels impossible because you're doing 100% of the work. But once you cross $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, the math completely flips. Your investments start contributing more than you do. The same discipline that felt torturous at the beginning becomes almost easy because you're finally seeing real momentum. You're learning this at 16, 17, 18. Most people don't figure this out until they're 30 and already buried in debt. You have the most valuable asset in finance: time. Every month you start earlier is literally worth thousands later. If this actually made sense, subscribe. Drop a comment telling me what you're saving for. And seriously, go open that savings account this week. Your 25-year-old self will thank you for it.